Good evening, everyone. And it's 7:03 p.m. It is February 15th. It is Saturday night. And some people are out on the town, hanging out, doing some fun stuff. And Maria is sitting here twiddling her thumbs, making a video. So, today I was thinking, of course, like I'm always thinking, and you go through these, questions in your mind. And I know I obsess about this issue because it's affected me so badly, and then the after effects of all the bullshit that happened, unnecessary garbage that I had to deal with. It just makes you start thinking. So I wanted to talk about, how rumors and stuff get started and why they're very damaging and how selfish a person can be to actually start a rumor and spread it, and not think about the consequences. Sometimes people do it because for the moment they are feeling a little devilish and they just feel like being, the center of attention, so they want to create some sort of conversation. And I know, like at work, people come from different backgrounds and you feel like you need to talk about something. And one thing that unites people more than anything is dirty, filthy gossip, right? And when I say backwards, I'm not necessarily talking about race or anything, but I'm just talking about people in general. Just about everybody likes to get the scoop on other people, whether it's real or it's made up, okay? So, but we also have to think about the damage that it causes when we do these sort of things. Now, I remember when I was working over at the farm, I went to go visit my mom one time, and she said, she was saying, did you like your job and everything? And she said, do you flirt with your boss? And I was like, that's absurd. No, I don't flirt with my boss. But I noticed that there was oftentimes there were some of the farm ladies who worked at the farm would be gossiping as I walked by. And I later, in the last few years, I've been thinking, maybe they were talking about this blow up on Facebook and the thing about the guy from high school and everything. And I also trying to think, well, maybe people thought that I was interested in my boss, which I will tell you right now, I never had an interest in my boss. Never. I will say that my ex-boss and his wife were very good looking. They were a very good looking couple for their age, okay? And I remember complimenting his wife many times on her outfits and everything, and her husband dressed very nice, but I never had any sort of feeling for my boss whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I would say going into the job, I started to lose respect for my boss because I felt as though he overlooked my contributions to the company many times, okay? And I felt as though he did it deliberately, but I think he was doing it because, the job was arranged by a family member and an ex-family member, and maybe he just felt, well, I don't want to get her too comfortable here and whatever. I don't know what his reasons were for doing it were, but I felt as though it was, it was disrespectful to me. And I mean, I worked my ass off there. And so, but anyway, going back to this issue, oftentimes when you are working in an office environment and you are working among your staff, you have your own office. At that time I did, okay? And there were times where, I rarely saw my boss at that time, okay? But he would come in spontaneously, okay? Sometimes he wouldn't come in for weeks, and then sometimes he'd, mosey in and, sign some checks or whatever. Give me some mail or whatever. But, sometimes, this is often the case, and I've been reading articles about when people are in an office and they shut the door with their boss or whatever, people always assume stuff. And even though I don't even think they're necessarily assuming it, they sometimes make things up, okay? Now, obviously, there was no way in the world that I could have had some sort of inappropriate interaction with my boss. I will tell you why. There was a glass partition in the office so that you can actually look inside and see. If you were walking into the office, you could actually see inside the office. So there was never any sort of interaction like that with my ex-boss. Also, when you are dealing with gang stalking, human trafficking, oftentimes you're being placed in setups, okay? Setups I suspect my last job was a setup, okay? Because it was way, way out there, number one. Number two, like I said before in one of my previous videos, I don't think it was a coincidence that this person, my boss, was a fairly nice looking man. Okay, I don't believe that that was a coincidence. I believe that was set up that way on purpose. And the problem with it is that, you know, I always conducted myself professionally when I dealt with him. I rarely saw him. I saw him like once a week. Okay, that was usually on Mondays. And then most of the time when I was there, I would be there all by myself. I'm serious. I was there all by myself. Okay, once in a while the farm manager would come in. He would turn in the timesheets, and then then he started getting really busy. So then he would take pictures of the farm sheets and send them to me. So my interaction with people was like only Mondays. Mondays was when the guy came from another office to drop off some paperwork and some money and cash or whatever. So I'd sort that out, and then my boss would come in and sign checks or whatever. So these are the only times I really had any interaction. Okay, and I also feel as though, you know, it's inappropriate to sit here and pick out my clothes because, like, what else are you going to wear? You're going to wear jeans, okay? You're going to wear jeans. Jeans, sweaters. Once in a while, I'd wear a dress, typically when it was warmer outside, because, you know, I'm not going to sit here and be, like, all stuffy in a pair of jeans or whatever if it's warm, okay? I would prefer to wear something a little bit lighter. But most of the time when I wore dresses, I had, like, tights underneath it, you know? So I always dressed, I thought I dressed appropriately, okay? And I really can't say, I will not take any blame for any of the things that I've done. I will not do it, okay? I will not. But you have these people who want to create things, okay? And for people who are in the surrounding areas, maybe even some of the people who worked for this particular person at my last job, they probably were saying things, okay? Making up stuff, okay? And that's a possibility. It's a possibility. But I will tell you, number one, that job was arranged for me. Okay, it was arranged for me. I did not apply to that job. It was one of those jobs I got called in to do when I was down and out because they screwed up my last job. So then they gave me that job, and so it wasn't something that I even had a choice or any say in. Okay, so but anyway, you know, I remember when I was younger. You know, I was younger, and I don't remember, maybe like 30s or something. And there was a guy, he came into the office, and he was, you know, he'd come into the office every once in a while. And you know, some people, they think their jokes are funny, and they always want to sit here and talk to the office personnel or whatever while they're coming and visiting the office. And he was telling these jokes and stuff. And I'm the kind of person, I love to laugh. I mean, I do. I do love to laugh. I know, like, lately I've been very serious, which I'm sick of. I'm really tired of the serious shit all the time. I know that there's times you have to be serious, but I don't believe that it's good for my personality all the time, seeing as how I'm happier when I'm bubbly and, you know, being kind of silly, right? But anyway, this guy would come in, and he was he was pretty older. He was much older than we were, but still, you know, he had me in tears. I mean, he had me, like, laughing so hard. And so these other two women were looking at me, and they were like, oh, Maria, you like him. And I kept thinking, why is it that I understand that people make up stuff, okay? And then I realized maybe when you communicate with men, you should not laugh at their jokes, okay? That's one of the reasons why I'm naming my videos this way, okay? I understand that, you know, as I got older, I realized, you know, you can say something and people can read you the wrong way, okay? You could say something, do something, even though you have no intentions of it meaning anything, okay? Other people are desperate to talk about something, so they will create gossip. So no, I mean, you know, and my last boss, I would say that I didn't even have, like, I would say that I didn't even have any really real conversations with him. It was basically, we stuck to the task because I was fairly resentful for being placed in this situation in the first place, okay? And there were some issues that had occurred before when I was working with him that I felt that were inappropriate or wrong, okay? And so I pretty much didn't have a lot of respect for this particular person. I will say, I was polite as much as I possibly could, but I felt as though, like, the times where he kind of withheld my pay, paid me late, I felt he was doing that because he was being instructed by my perps or whatever. That was inappropriate. It wasn't appropriate. So, and then also one time he came in and he started going off or something and raising his voice, and I was like, because this has happened at all my other jobs because of these perps that were, trying to, like, raise their authority or whatever, their imagined authority or whatever. And I was like, no, I had to stand up for myself sometimes because you have to stand up for yourself all the time because number one, you didn't ask to be there. Okay. Number two, you're being set up in an illegal operation where this is not benefiting you at all. Okay. It is depriving me of my human rights, and then you're going to sit here and get bitchy about it, right? No, that's just completely wrong. But my interactions with him was always professional. Always. So if anybody wants to make up any stories, they're delusional, okay? My clothes, like I said, consisted of a shirt, pants, most of the time. They were jeans most of the time. Boots. A lot of times I wore rain boots because it was very muddy out there. Very muddy. And so I had to get a pair of rain boots because, I had ruined a pair of shoes out there in the mud. So I started to just say that I only get a pair of rain boots, which those rain boots are still lasting me, okay? And I slip them on every once in a while because they're easy to slip on my feet, okay? I get tired of the rumors, okay? I know sometimes I think that rumors get started. They talk about, if I'm seeing somebody, obviously when you are a victim of gang stalking, you have neighbors around you who are aware of the program that you're in. So nobody really sees me leave the house for any long period of time. Okay, at least when I was over at the other place or whatever. So nobody sees me, having company come over or anything like that. When I was working at the last job, I would leave work and I would stop off into the dollar store, go to the grocery store to pick up some items. Never really stayed out very long. Every once in a blue moon, I'd go out to lunch or something, and then I'd head right back home. My life was pretty humdrum, as it is even now. Okay, as it is now. So, the rumors that get started, to me are malicious. They are absolutely malicious and unnecessary and wrong, okay? I'm not going to apologize for the clothes that I wear. I'm not going to, okay? My clothes were appropriate, like I said. Most people who work out in farm rural areas, they usually do wear jeans, okay? I don't wear sweats, okay? I only have a few pairs of sweats, and I use those as like either pajama pants, and they have a lot of stains and holes in them or whatever. I don't wear those sort of things. I don't, okay? To me, those are appropriate for walking or jogging or exercising or just kind of kicking around the house or whatever. That's how I set things up. But most of the people that I would see that would come into the office, like there was a lady who came into, she was like a consultant or whatever, same thing, she was wearing jeans, boots or whatever. And I look around town and I see most people, wearing jeans, so I wear casual clothes, and yeah, I do have a few dresses. Most of the dresses I haven't worn in a very, very long time, okay? So I think when you are dealing with people who are setting you up in jobs and they don't like you anyway, and they want to, create gossip, and they want to keep that fire, the argument going, that imaginary argument, or the imaginary competition going, they like to make up stories. But do remember that they put you in that job in the first place. So it's always a setup, it's always a setup. So I don't, when it comes to interacting with men, I try to just kind of stay as serious as I possibly can, meaning I don't want to give anyone the impression that I'm interested in them or anything like that. Now, in the past, I would say, I've always been very outgoing in the past, and I was always willing to tell a joke, whether that be to a girl or a guy or whatever. I was just so happy to, tell a joke and then get all giddy or whatever. That was how I have always been, But the older I get, the more I realize it's like people like to make up stuff, So I had to pretty much, for my own protection, modify my behavior just so that I can not um, ever be responsible for somebody making up stuff. You know what I mean? Not that because like I said, I enjoy laughing. I enjoy, you know, my sense of humor. You know, I like listening to other people's stuff if it's funny. You know what I mean? But unfortunately you have to do certain things. Sometimes you have to be a little bit more reserved, and that's just how it is. So so anyway, so I think also they, I've had people make comments about, because, I like sewing. I don't really sew as much as I used to, mainly because the issue of money. But, I think they think, well, she likes sewing clothes, and, that should be incorporated into, her work life. And, we're going to sit here and do this and, whatever. That has nothing to do with anything. You know what I mean? I'm not too old to sew, or pick up. They say something. This girl at work said something. Somebody said that you're too old to sew, but you're not too old to knit. Something dumb like that, right? The thing is that I think that must have come from my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law to me is like really my ex-brother-in-law. He's, he has his ideas, and he has a right to them, okay, but he doesn't have the right to enforce those ideas on me. Everybody has their hobbies. There's a few people that I subscribe to on YouTube. There's a black lady that I watch. She upcycles a lot of clothes, and it's phenomenal, right? And it's a hobby. But I know, like, for example, if you make certain things are not going to be acceptable in the workplace. Now, what I wear on my own time, that's my choice. That is my choice. And I think that but to say that if I'm, or to try to accuse me of being obsessed with that sort of stuff, no, I don't think I'm obsessed with that sort of stuff at all. I think it's an equal balance. You know what I mean? Is it my hobby? Do I enjoy doing it? Yeah. I also like making things. Like today I made something for my house. You know what I mean? But I just think sometimes when you have outside people choosing your jobs, they like to go through things because they don't want to give you anything that you deserve or whatever. They want to find some way, some angle, right, to try to cheat you out of something that you deserve. So they make up stuff. Okay, they make up things like, oh, well, she likes sewing, so therefore she's artistic. I'm not artistic. That's not my full personality. Hang on a second. Did you have fun? Yeah. I'm glad, hon. So it's not my whole personality. It's a hobby. Just like I said, some people have hobbies where they draw. Like, I wish I could draw. I can't draw. I'm like a stick figure person, and sometimes every once in a while I'll paint. I've had some successes with painting, but most of my paintings I would say look quite amateur, but it's a form of relaxation for me. But I'm not going to debate whether the fact that I'm intellectual more so than artistic or whatever, because I don't really think that's relevant anymore. But I do think that there was some falsification on those documents relating to that time that I went to this particular professional organization. I call it passive aggressive stupidity, only because they had me talk to this lady. And I felt as though it was a complete waste of time, because I think she was biased. Her opinion was biased because she was being coached by the people, my ex-family, whatever. And it kind of colored her opinion on me. She didn't really know who I was. And my ex-family doesn't really know who I am. They just make a lot of assumptions based on, whatever. Ignorance mostly. But no, I think we have to be careful about what we say about other people. I did a video one time about gossip and slander, and I talked about the biblical references about gossiping, and I even mentioned how it is a sin, really, basically, to gossip about other people. And the reason why I bring up sins and the dogma issue and the moral issues relating to the Bible is because these people who have attacked me, who have mistreated me, are supposed to be Christian. They're supposed to be. But like I said, it all depends on how you look at the religion. Is it like a secret society where you get certain benefits? Or is it really a structure where, you're taking this seriously like this, here's your Bible, your manual, your blueprint, you know, to how to live your life and navigate through the world, or is it just something that you say so that you can get a pat on the back and some sort of monetary benefit? You know, but who knows? It's not. It seems like it's more like, you know, the monetary benefit thing to me, but whatever. Um, but I won't apologize for any of this, except for I do want to apologize, like I said before. Okay, I tend to repeat myself in a lot of my videos. You know, when it comes to my ex-husband, if that's even what he was, I take responsibility, you know, for lying, saying that I was like, you know, mixed race and all this other stuff. I take responsibility for that. You know what I mean? That I shouldn't have done that. But I don't believe that it should not have been involving they should not have involved themselves in my employment. They should not have tried to force me to stay in a marriage that I didn't want to be in for good reason. And they should not have manipulated my employment. They should not have thrown all this out the street. They shouldn't have, you know, had this sort of competition. They shouldn't have done any of that. That was completely inappropriate. You know what I mean? Sometimes I think we like to bring up other people's faults to try to justify why we do certain things, okay? Like, you know, let's just say, for example, that CPA guy pissed me off, okay? Let's just say he did, okay? He pissed me off, he did something minor, like the time that he told me not to contact him anymore, okay? So I could sit here and stew on him saying something like that, and then I can go and I can thrash his car, right? That doesn't justify or makes, you know, it's like, you know, some people have to be more mature and say, you know what, I'm a bigger person and I'm not going to sit here and like try to do anything to this person. It's done, it's done. It's done, it's done. You know what I mean? So I do take responsibility for the things I've done. I do. I really do. But there's no justification. You can't justify this sort of stuff. And I think when it comes to, you know, me dealing with people in the workplace, you know, you're polite. You're polite. Even when I was set up in a job that I didn't ask for, even when I feel as though I was disrespected a few times, okay, by this last employer. And just the very fact that he could actually hire somebody, and knowing that I was going through a divorce and then trying to force me, being a participant in a forced marriage, or trying to force somebody, how can I gotta have respect for that. I can't respect that. Can't do it. Maybe his eyes are opened up. Some people don't think about stuff. They don't realize like what they're doing before they do it. But I think I'm imploring people who are in certain positions, business owners, managers, and stuff like that. I'm imploring them, not just for me, okay, but also because you could be involving yourself into a crime, okay? It's a crime. It's criminal what happened to me. It is criminal. And so I'm just saying is, you know, sometimes you have to think about what you do before you do it. Just like me, I have to think about how I interact with people. You know, like I don't even want to give anyone the idea or the impression that I have a boyfriend, because I don't have a boyfriend. I don't. But I was thinking like, you know, because everybody seems like they always talk about, they make up stories, I want to make up stories and stuff like that. I was thinking about that. I don't know why, but it popped up in my mind about that episode of the Brady Bunch where like Jan Brady wanted this boyfriend really bad, and she made up this guy named George Glass, and I kept thinking, you know, maybe I should have like an imaginary boyfriend. You know, some people do that. I mean, not imaginary boyfriends, but like, you know, they'll have like a boyfriend or a guy that they kind of step out with and pretend that they're in a relationship just so people can get out of their business. You know what I mean? Because some people, they think it's odd that, you know, I close myself off, and so I kept thinking, maybe I should do that. Just like, you know, have somebody to hang out with, just enough to make it look like, so then people will leave me alone. You know what I mean? So I just kind of went through this scenario. I made myself laugh a little bit, because you gotta make yourself laugh when you're in these situations, because they're so frustrating. They are so frustrating and so annoying to me, you know. Anyway, it's late, so I'm gonna go wrap it. So it's not really late, but it's late for me because I'd like to be in bed reading by now. So I'm gonna wrap up this video. I hope everyone has a good evening, and I hope for all the TIs stay strong.